Hi, welcome to the show. I have an amazing gentleman from Austin, Texas with me here. Not originally from Austin, all right?
No, originally from Houston, but
Yeah, but now Austin.
and now we just moved out of Austin about 30 minutes, 45 minutes out to the country, a little bit further. Austin got a little bit, I don't know if you get older and people just get more, I don't know. We moved out a little way.
Yeah, well, people do get a little,
They're everywhere.
That's right. So, TJ Greaney.
Yes.
TJ Greaney, and you had quite the life. So you didn't start out in ministry. You didn't start out going, I'm just going to give my life to Jesus and just running after it.
No, I did not. So when I was 13, we didn't have church in our family. We didn't have any of that. And so when I was 13, my parents finally divorced. My father left, and he went one way, and my mom took my little brothers and sisters and moved 1,000 miles away. We were in Houston, Texas, and she moved 1,000 miles away with my little brothers and sisters. And I just went out onto the streets, lived on the streets, learned to make my way on the streets, and it was tough. There was a lot of lessons to learn, but at the time it was what I did. And
that was how old were you?
I was 13.
13.
I look at little 13-year-old boys now and I go, that's really young.
I think you're right. I think that is really young. Yeah. And I would think that it would not be easy to just kind of get in with a good crowd when you're just living on the streets. Like there's a lot of.
There was no good crowd on the streets, but there was a point. So that's interesting you would say that. So at one point there was a guy, and his parents found out I was living on the streets. And so they invited me to stay in a room, and they had an empty room in their house. It was a terrible decision for them because I was such a horrible influence on their son. But for me, it was beautiful. I had clean clothes, meal, but the only rule they had for me was I had to go to church with them on Sunday. But the beauty about that was it was a Bible church. It was a little Bible church, and I never experienced anything like that. These people were like, they acted like family. They read the Bible. They talked about Jesus. They did things that I never understood. I had never seen it before. And during that time, there was a guy there. His name was Terry Moyer. I remember him to this day. Gave me my first Bible I have to this day. But he noticed me and he started paying attention to me. So I come to church and talked to me and eventually shared the gospel with me. And I asked for Jesus in my heart and was baptized in that little church. But it wasn't long till I left and went back out to what I knew on the streets. But I'll never forget that. And from that moment forward, there was something different.
I would imagine. It's amazing how God just sort of orchestrates things, right? To have this guy that had this influence on you, first to move in with his family, to meet some kid who tells his parents that there's this kid living on the street, and they invite you in. That's a big thing. Yep. So, all the pieces and just to come together, and you still have that Bible to this day.
And how in the world, after all the things I went through and all the things I did, that I still have that Bible? That's a God thing by itself.
Right.
But it's precious.
Yeah.
It's precious.
Yeah. So then you went through some more, you had to, whatever.
Yeah.
Some more life.
Yep.
So
I did.
Some more wild oats, and then,
yes.
Yeah.
And so, and eventually I did, sobered up and, met my wife, and, we started to have a family and decided that we both wanted to raise our kids in a church. She had a little bit of a background in church, and I had those little bit of experience, just what I told you. And, but we knew we wanted to raise our kids in a church. And so we got very active in our church and, did everything with the kids. But I just really noticed that there was a lot of little boys in my neighborhood that didn't have a father. And there was boys at our church who just, they just needed some time. And so I started doing some things with them. Once a month, I just gather some boys together, and I wasn't trying to preach to them or anything. I was just trying to spend time with them because I liked hanging out. And I ended up getting some buddies from church to help me, and we would just do an outdoor activity once a month. We would go hiking or fishing. And but then we really realized how much of an impact it was having on boys. And a lot of single moms were very intentional about getting their boys to be around us and to come to that once a month little outing. And so I started writing down what we were doing. And then some friends in churches around were seeing what we were doing with these boys. And like, hey, I want to do that. We want to do that. Some of us in our church. So we started sharing it with them, and they had the same experience. The boys just flocked to it, and the men were just being transformed by it because they were really doing something really back to them. The average kid spends 40 minutes a week outside, 70 hours a week in front of the screen. Half of our boys today don't have a dad and a mom. So these are real needs.
Right. And the impact that a man has on a boy is gigantic. The statistics that are out there for boys that are not raised with a dad, not raised with a male role model.
Right. Dropping out of school, pregnancy, jail, all the things. It's easy to find those statistics on a boy who doesn't have a dad.
Right. So important to have an impact. And to me, that's church, right? Like you have a building and you go on Sunday morning and it's a nice family and it feels good, whatever. But this is church. To get outside of the building and just be with people, to do this for these boys, that's so good. I love that you did that you started it and that other people wanted to do it. Because it is something boys, I think naturally, even though they're raised with screens, tell me what you're seeing, but there seems to be a natural thing with all of us probably, but especially with boys where running around outside, being out in nature, the healthy benefits of it are one thing, but are the boys kind of drawn to it? It seems like they would be just craving.
So boys are designed for adventure. The boy is the one, the little girl's playing dress up and all that, and the little boy's building a ramp for his little janky two-wheel bicycle to jump, right? He's chewing his graham cracker into the shape of a machine gun, or he finds a stick that's a sword in the yard. I mean, it is the heart of every boy. And today society is just, they're getting so much bad information, and we need to do something. And if not, the men of the church do.
Right. Exactly. Do some church.
Yeah. And so, and when we really, a lot of people see our program, oh, that's a boys program, kids program. No, it's not. It's a men's ministry with a mission. So we can't do our program without men. But we give the men, this isn't just, a men's Bible study on Wednesday. This isn't just bacon once a month. This is some men being challenged to the next level. And it'll transform your men in the church. It'll transform men. We have their wives tell us all the time, my husband's on the same night.
Well, I would imagine if you're working with the men, all the men are working with kids that don't have dad. There are issues that come along with kids that don't have dad quite often, right? When they don't have that influence in their life. So they might be going home to their own kids, and life for them is a certain way. But these other kids, life is different, and they face different things. So is that part of it? Like, just
absolutely. And our program is not just so. The men are because there's a lot of men today that have stuff going on that didn't happen from their dads, and now they're experiencing it with these boys and trying to navigate God wouldn't have happened. And we also, this isn't just a fatherless boy ministry, it's fathers and sons. There's a lot of fathers and sons that come to a Saturday and do KOZ And imagine that fatherless boy watching their father and son, what it looks like. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And it's the way God created it. Men are supposed to be training up their boys. It takes a man to train a boy to be a man. And so it's just this beautiful thing. And you don't age out on this. You can be 70 years old, 80 years old, and be a part of this program, because the 30, 40-year-old guys want to hear what you have to say. And the boys want to be a part of that. And
Oh, that makes sense.
and really, if you think about how Jesus trained his men, this is really a beautiful part of the ministry. Jesus walked town to town, right? For 3.5 years, he had this group of guys with him, and they walked town to town. They didn't check into a Holiday Inn or, Hampton Inn or whatever. They pulled over to the side of the road, made a campfire, and camped out. So these men, Jesus is training these men, his closest men, around a campfire every night. He sat with them around the sunrise, around a campfire at sunrise, most nights, most days. And that's where he was training these men for what he was going to have them do. So why would we not use the model that Jesus used with his men? It's not fancy. It's
But it
just
makes so much
pouring
sense.
into them. It
Yeah,
does. Well, you
just
know what
makes so much
happens
sense.
if I started a campfire over here somewhere. I'd probably get in trouble. But if I started a campfire over here, you know what that does. The campfire you can feel the presence of something different. If you know Jesus, then you know what it is.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and we offer it to a church. Guys just go online. If they're interested in it, they just go online. If there's a single mom that has a voice, you can go online, find a group in your community, and look at what's over there.
I love every part of it. I love every part of it. What are some of the things that you do on the stage?
So the guys do everything from archery to hiking. The 1 month, so every month is a different fee. So 1 month it might be tools. They teach the boys how to check for oil in the car, change the tire. I had a grandmother call me one time. She said, I was with my 11-year-old grandson. We were driving somewhere and we got a flat. And I was all distraught, and I was going to call 911 or 311 or call to get help. And my grandson said, no, Grandma, I can do this. I can do this. 11 years old. Gets out, jacks the car, tells him what he had learned. Because he knows, somebody told him, you can do this, showed him how, and he could.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Is it's not just the showing of how, but it's building the confidence.
That's right.
Right.
And we do shooting sports. We teach them firearm safety. Just outdoor stuff that it's healthy and good for them to have, and it builds confidence. And I can't tell you how many little boys just know nothing about the outdoors, and at the end of the day, where they're shooting arrows and they can't even hit the target, but at the end of the day, they're hitting the target. They're doing pretty good. You know what the confidence level of that little boy, like, I didn't think I could do it. I didn't want to do it, but maybe I can do things I didn't think I could.
Yeah,
Big deal.
yeah, it is. It's a huge deal. And you're combining kind of everything, right? Like, people are into nature, they're into whatever. People that are not Christians that are get grounded, make sure you get your feet on. We gotta walk through the woods and whatever, revitalize and all of that. And so it's like, well, people, this isn't something new. God designed it this way.
That's
Like,
right.
we should be out in nature. We should be grounding our feet, and we
That's
should
right.
be out smelling the trees. And
Boys should have dirt on their under their fingernails and skin knees. It teaches them to. Are you going to want your granddaughter or your daughter to marry a guy who is not confident if they're driving along and something happens? If they're walking down the street and they're confronted with the situation, I want to know that young man has some confidence in himself to protect that asset over there, my daughter, my granddaughter,
Right.
That precious gem. Our boys need to learn those things.
yeah, so
Not everybody believes that.
yeah,
They don't believe guys this toxic masculinity thing.
Right. But you know what? There's a difference between men and women.
There certainly is. And I really think that most ladies really like. I mean, I think they like it when the gentleman opens the door. Or when it's raining and they get a flat tire and he gets out to change.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I can tell you, a woman my age, that I lived through the glorious sign of the whole liberation and burning of bras and all this stuff that was whatever. And I was in high school going, I'm gonna be a strong, independent woman and whatever. But and I am a strong, independent woman. So the reality is, you can be a strong, independent woman and still let a man be a man.
That's
Don't
right.
emasculate men.
That's right.
Like, let a man be a man.
That's right.
And it's, yes, I love having the door open. I love having my chair pulled out. I love being
That's
treated
right.
like a woman. And it doesn't mean we're not as intelligent, not as valuable. It doesn't put us down. In fact, there was a movie, one of my favorite movies, about Peter Marshall, who was a school pastor. He came over, I think, from Scotland. And there was a scene where they were talking to a group of college students. And this was in the 40s, I think, the 50s maybe. And the college students, the women are there, and they're smoking cigarettes right along with the guys, and they're swearing some and being all cool, right? And this woman who was with Peter, who ended up being his wife, stepped up and said, ladies, what has happened to us? You're now, what you've done is you've lowered yourself to be like the guy, smoking the cigarettes and swearing. Like, we were higher than that. Like, we were on a pedestal, and now you want to be, you're coming down. You're coming down. Which I think everybody thinks, obviously.
Sure,
But
but
there's
I
something
get it.
about that, right?
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Where and it's so confusing now. I mean, a boy can be a dog, can be a cat, can be a girl, can be. I mean, it is the messaging to our boys and girls is just very hard and confusing. So anyway, our little kids outdoor zone, our mission is to train men up to spend time with those boys. And
Do you run into kids that not just a physical father missing from the home, but maybe there is a father in the home, but he's not a father
yeah,
to the kid?
sure, we see it all the time. The fathers that maybe their thing in the outdoors, maybe he's really busy with work. The interesting thing is we see some dads who aren't participating in their son's life, maybe even a divorced dad, who when he finds out our boys are doing KOZ, starts to come around on a Saturday. And we've seen whole families come back together because that father wants, like, who's training my boy to do what? And then he starts getting around, he starts hearing good things. Yes.
Yeah. So the impact that you're having is on the son for sure, but then the son is going to go home. The boy is going to go home, and he's going to be changed going into his home.
Yep.
And so, what are you seeing there?
So we see, I mean, even in intact families, when a little boy is changing like that, we see intact families. If he's participating, but it's a beautiful thing when the men of a church are loving on a little boy, training a little boy, and then his mom or the rest of the family, particularly as a single mom, when she starts to find it, there's struggles or going on, or she's considering maybe I will go to church. Maybe there is something to that. Well, she goes to the church, she's loving on her son. And that's a beautiful thing because then, they start to experience Jesus the way that you and I know it. It's a family. The church is a beautiful thing. But I tell people all the time, I tell my men all the time, if you get a little boy who comes, but he never walks in your church, never steps a foot in your church, you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Because you're looking for the opportunity to influence, show him what a good godly man can be, because he doesn't know that. He doesn't know the word, to tell a little boy who's only experienced the Father is a man who walked, and then you're trying to convince him in a Sunday school class, well, the Heavenly Father is your very, and he's like, no. So I'll take a little boy. I don't care if he goes to church or not. My heart is, and he sees that that is a safe place, beautiful place for him to live his life and bring his family up. So what happened to me?
Yeah, well, and who knows what's going to happen in the future,
That's right.
right? But I love a couple things. I love that it's a men's ministry. That I feel like anytime I do something for somebody, I feel like I go on a mission trip or go help get somewhere in the world or go help some people. I always get more out of it than I can ever possibly get. Are you finding that and then finding that too with what they know?
Oh my goodness gracious! And again, wives tell us all the time. My husband's on the same thing, and guys tell us all the time. Like, this is not a little boy's ministry; it's the men's ministry with a mission.
Yes, and I love too that someday those boys are going to marry somebody's little girl, and to be in a position where they know not only just know how to do things, but know how to be a man, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what it is. That's learning how to be a man, and I I appreciate that because I do have granddaughters, and I want them to marry strong men,
Strong,
good,
yes.
exactly, who are comfortable who they are as well. And I would think too, you accept anybody. It sounds like you accept anybody. Like a kid comes, you want 'em.
Yeah, there's no restrictions. The boys are 8 to 18, and bring them. You know, the men in the church, the men in the church does the background check, just like they would any Sunday school teacher. Sunday school teacher. They handle all the liability and all that stuff, and the church is supposed to go to the community. It's supposed to reach out, and
Jesus kind of
yeah, he did a little bit.
a little bit.
And so, I mean, if we don't go out into the community, I mean, you don't have to go very far. I bet you go knocking on doors in your neighborhood, and there's going to be some little boys, 8 to 18, that are living in those houses without a dad.
Yeah, well, I would think if a boy comes, then he's going to go to school and tell his friends, I just had this experience, and then they're going to work.
I had a coach at a middle school call me and he said, I don't know what this program is. Tell me what you're doing. Because I had the least popular kid in school and the most popular kid in school. Now they're best buddies, and all they do is talk about this KOZ thing they do together. And there's no way in the school that would ever happen. But they both showed up at a KOZ. They both became friends, doing these incredible things together. And they went back to school, and the coach said, I just want to know what you're doing.
That's cool.
And I thought, oh,
Yeah,
that's neat.
So you started this what year?
We're about 15 years old. We launched it nationally. We launched it, so we're doing it in Austin, Texas, a little church there. And then we had an opportunity to go to Lynchburg, Virginia, a giant men's conference. And just had a little table, a little banner that said, start an outdoor ministry in your church. And it just went crazy. We had 150 guys sign up for one.
Wow. Wow. And so now how many churches are involved?
So we're in 32 states, Canada, and last year we went into Eastern Europe.
Wow.
Moldova, we're going into Ukraine. Well, it's beautiful because men are men, and boys are boys. And men with a heart for the boys want to do something. We have something. So, yeah, we're growing like crazy. It's totally scalable. Everything's done online. They go online. They train. They get all the material. They get everything online. And yeah, they just launch and go.
Wow. So is there like somebody that says I want to bring this to my church? Does it start with one guy? Is there like a leader of the?
Typically, there's one guy that
Yeah.
just can't let it go, and he'll go get some of his buddies, and that's how it starts. But yeah, they just go online, sign up. It walks them through how to get the information, how to sign up.
What is how cumbersome is the training? Sometimes people hear the word training and they go, oh, I don't have time for training.
So it's a couple of hours on a Friday night. We encourage them. The guys have to do it with their wife. So it's with their wives on Friday night, and then they come back on Saturday. It's about 5 hours on Saturday. It's a workbook, but it's got movie clips and video clips.
So you do it man style.
Man style.
So you don't just lecture or they're going to fall asleep.
That's right. It really is. That's
Yeah.
good. I almost steal that. Man style training on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they're ready to go. They just they pick what day they want to do it, what Saturday they want to do it. They always do it on the same Saturday. Second Saturday of every month, so the moms can plan it. Everybody knows this is the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Super simple. It's simple but profound.
Oh yeah, my word. Sometimes, well, that's life, right? The simplest things are the most profound.
It can be.
We like to complicate it
Yeah.
and make it
That's
bigger,
right. We did.
harder. So yeah. So do you have any idea, or do you know how many men are involved, how many kids are involved?
We got about 800 men. We're I think last count was a while ago was 1,200 boys a month. But we're growing really fast. So
Well, and you've been around for 15 years,
10 years.
nationally.
Yeah.
And so boys are going to age out of it as well.
Yeah. And actually we've got boys that are just now aging out and becoming leaders.
Wow. Wow.
They turn 18 and they switch sides of the playing field. And
That's awesome. That's cool. So 800 to 1,200, that is a good fancy effort. So it's not like one guy with 10.
no,
So I would think there's the level of relationship and intimacy.
that's the whole key to it, right?
Yeah,
Is
right.
a lot of big churches, the giant churches, it doesn't work for them because they want to do like 15 volunteers, 300 kids. It's done. It's over. It's, next thing. And, again, well,
There we go. It's like,
it's
yeah,
the
that's
way it
right.
works.
The way it works. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So the
so
giant-
yeah, so the smaller churches, it's 10 guys, 5 guys.
Well, it seems to me that the big churches should figure out a way. Because
Some of them have, but it's and I understand that. I understand they're big. Now you put something out there, 300 kids show up. What do you do?
yeah. Well, then you gotta hold on. Right? Because somehow the ratio works in the small churches, so it ought to work in the big church. Men should be inspired to do it. Yeah. Well, and there's only so much men ministry out there, right? I mean, the women are cooking for the funeral lunches, the women are teaching the Sunday schools, women are, there's so many opportunities going to women's Bible studies, doing all these things that so often I see so many opportunities for women and not as many opportunities for men. And so men do need this. They need the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, guys. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's a men's ministry, and there's a lot of men's ministry opportunities, and a lot of Bible studies, and there's a lot of stuff, and it's critical. I do all of it. But men need a mission. They need something to make a difference, impact. And I think that's the difference between us and a lot of different things that men can do in church nowadays.
Well, and anybody can do it.
Yeah, any guy can do it.
Any guy can do it. So you don't need special.
And you don't age out. You can be 70, you can be 20. Don't age out. Just do the training so you know how to do it.
So how do people find out about you, and how do they? Do you need money? Like, what do you need for your organization? How do you get into churches?
So, great questions. All the information about us is at Kids Outdoor Zone, or KIDS Outdoor Zone, CONE.com. Kids Outdoor Zone. All the information's there. We always need donations. We operate off of just the money that's donated to us. It gets us into churches. It gets curriculum and material. We do have a small fee if the church wants it. $300 a year is what it costs. But for curriculum, from what I understand, that is very cost effective. And we have a little startup fee, but you get a box of manuals and a flag, you get all this stuff in a big box delivered, so you can have your training and get your guts started. So, yeah, it's super simple. Just go to kidsoutdoorzone.com. If you want to start a group, want to donate, or if you want to find a place for a boy to go, it's all on our website.
That's so cool. So there may be men watching that go, yes, I'm going to grab a hold of this book. What if there's a single mom out there that says, I want this in my church?
Well, that's a tough one because she needs to convince the men. And maybe she takes it to the men's ministry leader. We always say, this is not a job for the pastor or the men's ministry leader or the youth ministry leader. Those are the wrong people to go to. You know, they've all got their own stuff they're trying to do. They don't need an assignment. They don't need homework. She just needs to find some men. Maybe if you're just sitting in church one day and you see a guy with a camo shirt on or a camo hat, that's your man. Go talk to him.
Mr. Outdoors.
Yeah,
right?
go find it.
Go find
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. And you've got a fundraiser coming up.
We do. We have a fundraiser in Austin, Texas, April 20th at the Hyatt on Lady Bird Lake, which is right downtown Austin, Texas. It's a beautiful gala. We have our buddy Lucas Black. He'll be there. Yep, he'll be our guest speaker that night, and we'll be telling stories and sharing how the ministry works and having some games. So it's a beautiful way to celebrate what God's doing and raise some money so we keep doing it.
Good. That's good. So if you're in the Austin area or you want to travel to the Austin area, I'm sure right on your website too,
Yep,
there's
it's all right
information
there.
about the gala.
Yep.
And the name of the gala is
Grit and Glam.
Grit.
You did your homework. I'm so happy.
Grit and Glam. I love the name. I love that.
Well, so silly little story, and we can finish on it. So when we were praying about this, my wife is the event coordinator. She's done all of our galas for 15 years. The prayer was grit and glam. So grit for guys, they can wear jeans and boots, right? And glam, ladies like to dress up. So it'll be a nice night for them to dress up. And then I just interviewed 3 single moms for some video work that we're doing, telling their stories. And I left there and God said, you know what? Single mom is the grit and glam. She's got to have grit to get up at 3:30, get her stuff done, get her kids ready so they can go to school so she can. That is grit. That is someone who does what it takes to get it done. It just doesn't stop because they got to get it done. That's grit. And glam, for her to have a moment where she can sneak away and buy a shirt or go get her hair cut, that's her glam moment. She so deserves it, so needs it. So this is it's a different take on grit and glam if you know what's really going on.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, that is a good thing. Because it is so true. You know,
It is.
hurrah for the single mom. It's not an easy life. And what a wonderful thing you're doing to help them out. This has got to be a good topic. So you're helping kids for generations. This isn't a one and done. This isn't a come on a Saturday, have fun, get all excited.
See you later.
Right, we'll see you later. And
See you next month.
yeah. And for the men, they need to stick with it. They need to be committed.
Yep.
Because those little boys are going to expect to see that same man every Saturday. So you've got to commit. And there's something about commitment that somehow we lack it sometimes. But commitment is good. I mean, we're committed to Jesus. We need to commit to other things as well. And this is a great thing.
You know what John Wayne said? Don't put your foot in the stirrup if you're not willing to ride. And we raised our hand. We said, I believe in Jesus. I think he died for me. That's putting your foot in the stirrup. Now you need to ride. So if there's a man watching this, I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so impressed with you. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being on my show. Anything I can do for you, I want to do for you. I will get this out there to everybody more and more.
This is beautiful.
So, yeah, well, thank you so much. Thanks for all you do. And until next time.